Hey everybody, it's Noah with the Zone Podcast, back at it again. Today I'm in Tennessee, just flew all the way out here from Houston to come see Lydia. We've known each other for a while. Really amazing woman. She's been in real estate. She's a young entrepreneur um, and amazing salesperson. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks. My name's Lydia Capps. I lived in Knoxville since I was 12. Like you said, I'm a real estate entrepreneur here in Knoxville. I specialize in condo and luxury sales, but I do just about anything else that my clients need, whether that's relocating to Knoxville, which is happening a lot right now, land deals, investors, whatever it is. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll get straight into some of the questions that I got for you. So we've talked, even when I landed down, we talked a little bit about being a young entrepreneur, being a young salesperson, and how lonely that can be. Just because even in your video, you were talking about like you're not really at the point where you want to talk to your old friends because you got to cut that off to move forward. But at the same time, the people that are up top and already been doing this for 20 years, stuff like that, I think that's why it's an interesting experience for us. We're not quite there yet. So, first of all, where are you in that journey?
It's an interesting question. I would say, I mean, when you're in your young 20s and an entrepreneur in cutthroat commission-only sales, you're gonna it's gonna be lonely no matter what. Even if you have a great group of people around you, like that is not common. Like 20-year-olds, you're supposed to be going to be a junior in college and just be having fun, and then like deal with your life after college. So yes, you can find those entrepreneurs that are young in your age, but at the same time, the average age of a realtor here in Knoxville is 60 years old, which is crazy. I'm the youngest one in my office. But I mean, 2 weeks into the business, I talked to a lady that got cut a $2.5 million commission check last week. And she made like $50 million plus last year. So it's not like these people aren't hiding. They love to bring young people up with them. So I don't think that there's like a hard line of like, oh, I can't talk to these people. But also, as you know in sales, like top producer gets slapped on literally anything. Yeah. And it's relative. I mean, like everyone wants to do a different, like some people are okay with doing, I don't know, 300K in volume a year, $1 million in volume a year. So it's, it is relative. And I think it's just a really interesting journey to be on in entrepreneurship and sales because it's not a mindset that you find a lot of places. But right. I think as a young entrepreneur, like people feel a big obligation to like bring young people up with them and just love to like pour into young people. So at least that's been my experience. I've had a couple run-ins with people that just don't want to share their knowledge or like just don't want to give you time of day at all. But I guess those are my thoughts on that.
So like when you say people pouring into the younger generation, have you had a lot of, what's the advice that you should listen to and the advice that you shouldn't? Because I've definitely had a lot of older guys be like, you should do this, and it's like,
right.
You're like,
right. And I think coming into it, like you're gonna be like, okay, I don't know anything. I'm gonna take your word for it and go after it. Like there is not a right or wrong way to do sales, and it's the same in real estate too. Like certain things there's a right or wrong way, like contracts, it's legally binding and it's literally black and white. But like how to sell, how to take care of your client, how to do a consultation, how to structure an offer, like there's not a right or wrong way to do it. And even though I am so confident about the way that I lead generate and structure my business, and I'm like, this works, that's my personality. Right. It might not work the same for literally anybody else. So it doesn't matter how confident I am and how black and white I think it is. You can't take somebody's business, copy it, and then expect the same results. Because you truly do, like I was told from the beginning, like you have to make it your own as you continue to sell, you'll get more comfortable with it, and that is like literally so true.
Yeah, you add your own spin on everything. And there's an interesting follow-up thing I want to ask. How do people, for those people that are coming up that are younger, I feel like we all almost get taken advantage of sometimes because we're like wide-eyed, we're like ready to do it, like we're listening to pretty much everybody. How do you guard yourself from that when coming up? Or is it like something has to happen?
You mean from clients or from like older entrepreneurs trying to tell you what to do?
Older entrepreneurs.
Again, like I said, I mean, it's easy to and I talked about this at a speaking event I was at a few weeks ago. Like, it's easy to feel like you can get, swept under the rug and stepped on. Like, you can kind of be told what to do, but like literally, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Like, it doesn't matter if they've been in the business for 30 to 50 years. I mean, the barrier to entry in sales is so low, in door to door or in real estate or whatever it is, which means there's a lot of bad business. So, can you rephrase the question again? What was the question?
Yeah, like because I feel like when we're coming up younger, 18, 19, 20, even 22, 23, 24, um, these older entrepreneurs are like, hey, like come here. You know, I definitely in my personal experience, I almost didn't fully waste a year, but I felt like I was almost taken advantage of just because
Yeah.
like it wasn't the right opportunity for me, and I needed to leave, and I didn't because I wanted to stick in it. I wanted to hustle. So like, when do you know you are being taken advantage of? And I don't even know if you've had that experience. Have
No,
you?
I mean, yeah, I mean, to some extent, not like in a major way, but no matter what sales you're in, the people that are recruiting you, you're making them money no matter if you sell or not. So it's like they're gonna make you feel like you're the best person to walk the earth. Like they want your sales, and especially as a young, hungry person, communicating that across. They want you on their team, and so, I mean, it just comes with experience and like getting more like as you results is what gives you confidence, what gives me confidence, and so that allows me to I don't really take no for an answer, especially when my clients are on the line. So, taking everything with a grain of salt I think it's a learned skill.
Okay. And then even coming up, like you were saying, with that journey, like, how do you connect with these top producers?
Connect with top producers. I mean, I guess it's kind of hand in hand with what we talked about. It's like these people aren't hiding. Like they want to bring you up, and if they don't want to talk to you and they don't want to like share their knowledge, I mean, I'm like my time is very valuable, and like I don't have a lot of spare time in the day, but so I understand that too. But I mean, the people that don't help you are people you don't want to connect with anyways. So
Okay. So even like where would you find those people? Like for somebody who's just getting started, where would you suggest? Like, is it networking events? Is it like family and friends? Like, where would you start if you were first starting to find those people?
Yeah. When I first got into business, I made it a point every single day to do cold outreach to literally any business owner in Knoxville. So like I was just super curious about law, healthcare, CEOs of literally anything, real estate entrepreneurs. I just wanted to like pick their brain and what made them successful, why they do what they do, what their routine looks like. So networking events is really good. Like people that are out applying themselves and wanting to meet people, those are the people that, I mean, like we talked about it great, like social capital is one of the most valuable things you can have to build skill. Networking events, like intentionally setting meetings on your calendar. I would meet 1 to 2 business owners a day when I didn't even have my own business. So yeah, just being curious and reaching out to people, like I said, like people want to help you. When they love to talk about themselves, everyone does.
So you literally cold called and then had lunch with a bunch of them.
Yeah. Oh, I would cold call my commercial advisor that I use now. I cold call him off LinkedIn, and he picked up the phone. He's like, "So you just like cold call people off LinkedIn?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And now we're friends.
Oh, shoot. Nice. Well, shoot, even in that same sort of thing, I mean, I was gonna ask you, do you think, well, I'm gonna still ask it. I just read further through it. Do you think, coming from that younger spot, like, and being successful at a younger age amplifies the loneliness that we were talking about? So, like, not even, like, because I think a lot of people, when we are getting started, we got a chip on our shoulder. We're younger. We're not making as much money. But when you are at that point where, like, hey, I put up big real estate deals, like, I'm respected in my industry, does that amplify the loneliness and even push those people further away?
I mean, I think yes. I think that's a very common experience for young entrepreneurs. Um, it's just it gets to a point where there's just not a lot of like common ground to talk about, and like we talked about before, like it's great to have friends that aren't in business, and you don't talk about business with them. You're just they care about you, they want to hear about it, but they don't have to understand it or really like get your mind off it. Like you said, like it's good to have fun.
Yeah.
But yes, it is definitely an interesting time in your 20s to be working with people that have been in it for 30 years or are much older than you and have done a lot of volume. It's definitely hard to connect with the majority of people your age.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it does. It definitely. I feel it the same way. I mean, it makes it harder to have that connection because you're not in the same spot.
Yeah.
And you're also in that 3%. Like it's hard to go find 3% of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
But at the
it's,
same
the numbers
time,
are
like,
against you.
But at the same time, like, it wouldn't happen any other way. Like,
Right.
I would literally never go back. Like, I'm so happy to,
Once
people
you've
that I
seen
know.
it.
Yeah.
Once you've seen it, you can't go back.
No.
It's almost, it is painful. It's painful when you start up, and then it's painful to go back. Going back is the most painful thing ever.
Yes.
So,
it's going to be painful no matter what.
Shoot. Yeah, it's going to be painful
Go
no matter
forward.
what. It's a true suffering. So they say, like, you were speaking at a conference a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
They say that, public speaking for most people is a greater fear than death. Did you feel that at all?
No. And I will tell you, I was so shy in high school. Like, I probably didn't talk to anybody but my 3 best friends till, like, after junior year of high school. Like, I was very quiet. Went to a very small private school, too, so that probably didn't help. But being brought up in a private school, like, we had to do a bunch of public speaking and writing. So I was very comfortable with, like, formulating my ideas and, like, it's just repetition. The more you do it, like, of course I was super nervous the first few times, but honestly now, that was the biggest group I'd ever spoken to, but I was talking about what I live and breathe every day, which was business entrepreneurship and leadership, and not one nerve, because I know so confidently what I'm speaking about and want people to hear it. So I'm like, I'm not even looking at my PowerPoint. Like, it was a blast. But I think it really just comes with repetition and, having confidence behind what you know. Like, it's what I live every day. So
Preparation.
yeah, that too. I said it over and over and over the night before. Videoed myself. Like, if I'm gonna do something, like, I'm gonna be the most prepared one there.
How do you measure that? How do you know?
I mean, I don't know. When I can say it in and out without, I don't know. I guess you can't measure it, but that's like a personal thing, I guess.
Yeah.
That's just my personality too. Like, I'm very prepared and organized, and everything has its schedule. So.
Yeah, I mean, even saying that could have some like ego behind it. Do you think it's important to have an ego in business?
Important to have an ego.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like ego has a really bad connotation.
Yeah.
Do you mean ego as in
like you feel like you're
confidence or pride?
What's the difference to you?
I mean, confidence is necessary.
Yeah.
Like, it's sales. I mean,
Right.
you're literally never going to sell if you don't have confidence in your product or taking care of your client. That's a really interesting question. I guess what would you define as ego?
Like, I mean, pridefulness. Yeah, for sure. Like, don't you think, like, even for yourself, looking at other people your age, and you look at it and you're like, all right, cool. Like, even the thing I sent you before we hopped on here with the video and everything, where it's like, yeah, you get a bunch of like, hey, you're doing a really good job. Like, you're at a great spot for where you are. You're at a great spot for where you are.
And I'm like,
and then
I could be doing so much more.
Yeah. And then you see the comments and you're like, well, the bar is literally poverty. Yeah, so it's like, it's hard not to develop that ego, I feel like, and that pride. Is it a bad thing?
I mean, I think pride is definitely, I mean, it's a human experience. Everyone feels pride. But there's also something to be said with having pride in your product and your work. Like, I speak with confidence, and I literally like knew the point and when I reached it of like I know I'm the best one for this job. Like
Right.
if you go with anybody else, you will be doing a disservice. Like I don't want to see you do that, because I know I'm the best one to take care of you and to facilitate this transaction. Um, I do remember the first like week I had my license, and I like went into this lunch meeting, and I like had my business purse or whatever. I was like wearing heels and stuff, and I was like, I feel like important right now. I was like, but no, like that was I was like, I do not want to feel like that. Like I'm literally no different than anybody else. Like this is like God's given me this opportunity to serve people and expand myself and grow, and that's just not the feeling that I want to feel. But again, like I said, you have to be prideful in your product. Like know what you know and be proud of it.
So kind of your idea of it is not you're living through your product. You're not really. It's not you who's being the prideful one.
Right. It's not as self-glorifying, but also like I am the business. Like people don't hire Wallace Real Estate; they hire Lydia Capps. So yeah, that's an interesting balance.
Okay. And then I think we have. I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. I think we have a lot of like. There's a big amount of like motivational content on YouTube, and people our age for sure scroll a lot, and we're looking at it constantly, 24/7. Do you think that's helping our generation, or is it hurting us?
I mean, motivational and like hustle culture is definitely everywhere. And I think I mean, just like anything on media, there's pros and cons to how people are processing it and taking it in. I think it's helpful in a generation that is, I don't want to say lazy, but that's the first word that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Handed a lot of things. But also I feel like it does damage in the way that it might make some industries seem easy, as in like you can be on top of the world. Like I don't know how to exactly explain it, but like yes, you can literally do anything you set your mind to. But I think it maybe feeds it easily to people that are just scrolling all day and like maybe feel like they're doing more than they are when they're getting fed this like positive dopamine of motivation, like this is so great, you can do whatever, but then aren't applying it. And I feel like that's very common, especially in sales when things are inflated a lot. Of you're like, oh, I'm doing all this, but you're really not doing that much. Like there's always more you can be doing. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people, especially young, that are not applying themselves as much as they could be, and maybe they think they are applying themselves more than they are because of the content they're consuming.
So more of, so you think it is hurting us then?
I mean, I wouldn't say either way. Like I think it is super helpful. Like it's very positive. Like I'm very much an optimist. I'm the one that's like I'm gonna do it before I think twice about it. And I think that's a really important skill to have in sales, but also, you do need those people that are realistic and pessimistic to, set boundaries, and you have to have that yin yang of the business relationship. But I wouldn't say it's hurtful, no, by any means. But like I think it also depends on your personality and how you're actually applying things.
Yeah. So there's a difference between like scrolling and trying to look for, I guess, motivation on there, and like getting like, oh, get up today,
Yeah.
Versus like actually looking on there and using it as a tool. I think. Do you think, in general, with this generation, we're more extreme? So the extremities of like the lazy one is super crazy, and then like people like you and I who are just we're extreme. Do you think we are like that extreme with our generation?
I think our generation's a really interesting one. Like you were saying before, like you said you think it's gonna be like no middle class, right? It's gonna
Yeah,
be,
we had a conversation in the car, just giving everybody context before. Yeah. I have a couple ideas where it's like where there's gonna be a lot of people who are just living, all paid for. They're in a place by themselves. It's basically like a smaller apartment. Everything's paid for. They use public stuff from the government, and then there's people that want more, and then there's people that's just like it's gonna keep getting more and more.
the margin's gonna
Separate.
be a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
But with our generation, I'm talking about like more extreme, like even becoming extreme like that. I feel like we're moving into that place, but I don't know what you. Because I feel like we have a lot of people that are pushing it, like millennials had their dumb prank videos and stuff, but we're over here eating Tide Pods and cinnamon challenge. You know what I mean? Like we're getting more stupider, but at the same
I
time.
haven't heard about the cinnamon challenge like a couple weeks ago. And I was
Really?
Like, I completely missed this.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
that was cool.
No, yeah. There's a. Yeah. Do you scroll a lot?
No.
No?
I have a 15-minute time limit
Really?
on my social medias. I post, and I maybe look at the first 2 posts and stories of like people that I care about,
Yeah.
but I don't scroll past that. I mean, I don't really have time to, nor want to.
Mm.
But I mean, the scrolling with motivational content, like, how specific is it? Because I follow people like Alex Hormozy or like big leaders in my industry that are specifically applicable to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm no longer reading, I think there's a time and a place because when I did start to catch that entrepreneurship bug, I was consuming a lot of that content in books that are more general, motivational business, entrepreneurship. Now, I make time to read, but if I'm reading a book, it's going to be super, super applicable to what I'm doing because I just think that's just time. So I think everyone's on their different section of the journey and what content they are needing, but yeah, I think it definitely depends on how you're taking the content and then putting it into how you operate.
Yeah, so like the feed of the 16-year-old or the 18-year-old who's just getting started and like kind of looking at it a little bit, it could be motivational content, could be good for them, or seeing like a realtor and stuff like that when they're still trying to figure out what they're trying to do would be beneficial for them.
Yeah.
For you.
And media is everything. Like, media is people that aren't on social media and are in business are gonna get caught up and forgotten because so yes, it is necessary to stay on top of like what people are posting in your industry and some ideas for your content. So yeah, it's definitely a balance of what's helpful and what's not.
And even I don't know if you have the same opinion, but I feel like when I talk about the extremity of our generation, especially when you choose a path, it's like only putting skill points in that. It's not like Lydia has real estate and then she's got her food hobby and then her other hobby here, and she's really good at dancing or she's really good at quant finance or something. It's more like it's more just like one place. Do you think that's a good thing to have that focus?
I mean, it's a balance thing because I feel like a lot of people in sales joke are like, I don't have hobbies. And honestly, like, I kind of have to force myself to have hobbies because I genuinely just want to work. Like, I'm doing what I want to do. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Like, if you have a certain volume that you want to do and you're putting all your time and effort to make sure that you're getting there and that you are serving your clients the best that you can, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, you have obligations to do that. But again, you have full control of how you spend your time and your days. So
yeah, it's choosing what you're wanting to be at, and sometimes I feel like honestly, it has to be that way. Because you're not going to get anywhere if you're not if you're not sacrificing. We even talked about before we came on here about sacrifice, and you said, What did you say?
What did I say?
You said you were talking about how it's not. It doesn't even feel like a sacrifice anymore.
Oh, yeah. Because I'm just doing what I want to do,
Yeah.
which is work. Which
Yeah.
some people might think is crazy, but I mean, that's just how my brain is wired. And
Yeah. But it wasn't always like that, was it?
no.
Yeah. It came through the sacrifice.
Yeah, it was the development, but yeah, it's definitely what I'm supposed to be doing.
Cool. So, next thing kind of going in the same for that. Even for people watching this right now, like, why do you think sales, like, what are the negatives of sales, and why do you think some people just should not even do it?
Negative of sales. That's so interesting. Okay. Negative of sales. It is a constant. People get into sales because they're like, no one's telling me what to do, when to do it, how to do it, how many hours a week to do it. So you have full autonomy, right? But you also have an obligation. So they get into it because they want to make a lot of money. However, they find out that to make a lot of money, especially on the front end, especially before you have anybody that you've hired, you're working so many hours, whether you want to or not. Especially if you have a legal obligation with clients. Like, I have a legal duty to put my clients' interests above my own. So I'd say negative of sales is like I don't know, but I don't see them as negative. So that's an interesting question.
Why shouldn't somebody get into sales?
Why shouldn't somebody get into sales? I feel like a lot of people say they don't want to get into sales because they're like, oh, I'm not an extroverted, like I can't be, like I'm not a salesperson, I'm not salesy, like I can't be pushy. But I don't think anybody is that way naturally. Like I certainly wasn't. I think sales is a learned skill for literally everybody. Like you can't expect to be good at sales. Every time someone says that, like my dad said that to me a few weeks ago. He's like, but I'm just not salesy. I'm like, but how many hours have you like been selling before? Would you expect to be good at it? You know,
Right.
It's a learned skill. And again, that comes with when you get those results of selling, that's where your confidence comes from, and that's where that being able to be. I also don't really think you have to be an extrovert to be in sales. I mean, I'm technically an introvert with where my energy comes from, but I could talk like this all day, every day. So I mean, I don't know.
Do you think there's like no person that? Do you think everybody should be doing sales?
I don't think everybody should be in sales, but I think selling is literally everywhere. Whether that's you're selling your idea, you're selling a product, you're selling, why someone should work for you in HR of a corporate company. You're selling, why someone should sign this contract, why someone should sign this paperwork in a healthcare office. Like I mean, literally anywhere. So, I mean, I don't deter anybody from sales unless you are just not willing to. I think you can tell really quickly off the bat if someone's going to sink or swim in sales. But that's not to say that I don't think anybody should not give it a shot, because it's definitely, you learn how to swim.
What do you think determines that person that doesn't learn how to swim?
Just no willingness to work, say no to what they want, like putting down the how do I say this? Like making the sacrifice. I was writing up a contract at 11:59 on New Year's Eve, so like a lot of people aren't willing to do that. So I mean, it comes down to personality, but again, I wouldn't turn away anybody from sales because you very quickly learn if you're gonna sink or swim.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Even the imposter syndrome, where it's like I'm not really, like when you first get started, even though you were saying you have the purse, you have the set up everything, you felt good, you felt confident. At the same time, did you have that feeling in the back of your head that was like, I'm not really here, or?
No,
like,
from the beginning, I was like, there's
okay.
no plan. This is going to work.
Okay.
There's no plan B. So, I think you have to come into it with that personality. But I do think that people develop that personality along the way when they realize that they have to swim and no one's going to be there to hold them up.
Do you think getting into sales for the money? I think most people do get into sales for the money at first. When is it transition, or when did you see it transition for you? Or was it ever even there? Was that the reason why you got into it?
I mean, it wasn't the sole reason. Like, I truly, literally have the best job in the world and love what I do every single day. I mean, sure, it was a draw from the beginning, of course. And if you're not in the sales yet, so you don't like experience loving what you do. So of course the money's going to be the forefront of your mind. But I mean, as you get more into the depths of business and sales, like that's like we talked about with Wesley and before, like it's literally just a byproduct of the scale that you're wanting to go to. Like, the money is no longer the motivation. Like it's what comes with what I intend on doing. So.
Yeah, just to give you guys some context, Wesley was the guy who I just interviewed. He's one of the students at UT, and he started a company just doing automated lawn mowing. And he kind of was like, yeah, I don't think for him it was really ever about the money.
No, I don't think it was.
It doesn't seem like, yeah. It seems like a lot of people do get into that for
but it is for sure. Like it's very important.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't operate a business without money, and so if you don't have money, you can't continue to operate a business. So it's like, I mean, sure. The first check I got cut, and I was like, okay, this is what I would make in like 8 months in healthcare. Something's not adding up here.
Right.
So of course that's a big draw. But also, like Wesley said as well, like you're literally never going to be happy if that's the only thing you're pushing for. And it'll be very apparent, it's very apparent to people that that's the only thing they're pushing for is money.
You can almost like smell it on them.
Yeah.
They want your money.
Yeah.
They're there for it, and that's the only reason.
Yeah.
And I think being detached from the sale is, I mean, in your experience, that's been pretty important, right? Yeah, just being like, all right, if you don't. I think that's also why the money's important, though, because it's like you can sit there and be like, I don't need to make this sale.
Yeah,
like,
it's not emotional for me at all.
Yeah.
Money is not emotional.
Yeah. I think it's hard for a lot of people when they first get started, for sure. And if they don't have as much financial backing to be like, oh, low battery.
No.
To be, for them to be less attached to that sale. But I mean, when you go through it, that's what it is. Next one, when you refer to like doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable, what are some of the places that you pull from personally when you get like that gnawing feeling in your stomach? Like for somebody watching out there, what are some of the things that go through your head when you're doing something uncomfortable? I'm going to walk over here.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I think a lot of things in business are uncomfortable. Anything you haven't done before is going to be uncomfortable to some extent. You know, no experience equals being uncomfortable. But I kind of have a thing whenever I start feeling like that. I mean, it's the same thing as being detached and like not emotional about it. I literally count in my head. If I don't want to make a call, say if this person, I know they're going to be pissed at me if I call them again. They've already yelled at me on the phone. Yeah. But it's follow-up. The money's in the follow-up, right?
Right.
Or going on stage or whatever it is. I literally count 3, 2, 1 down and I just go and I don't think about it. It's the whole thing about, same with like getting up in the morning too. Like I'm like, oh, I don't want to get up, like go to the gym, whatever. It does not matter what I want. I literally count 3, 2, 1 to get up. Like it's, do it before you think about it, because the first time I sat down to cold call, I literally stared at my phone for like 45 minutes. And I was like, okay, like hyped myself up for it, made the first call, of course it went to voicemail, but it's like, I could have just cut out so much time if I put down what I want and what makes me comfortable, because think about the aftermath. It's literally nothing's going to get done if you are listening to what you want and what's comfortable every single day, because that's literally the only way you're going to grow. And it sounds cliche because everyone says that, but truly, like, I crave change and like putting myself in uncomfortable situations that I have not gotten to yet.
So it's also you've almost trained your brain that there's a dopamine hit once you've hit the phone.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you're excited.
I like crave making cold calls now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get on the phone. Like
yeah.
Same with door to door. Like
yeah.
talking about. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like itching to knock on doors.
Yeah. It's just
crazy.
And it's also fun because it's getting somebody from a no to a yes is probably just one of the best feelings ever. When they're just like, no, it's fine, no, and then you're just like, no, it's fine, and then you're at the point where it's like, okay, actually, I do get what you're saying, and it's like, okay, cool, now I'm here, now I've arrived.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand. Like, I would say no too if a random person knocked on my door.
Yeah.
But like, no.
yeah, and then we're gonna switch gears a little bit. We're gonna talk about Krispy Kreme.
Okay.
No. So I know we're talking about business, and right now I'm not plugged with Krispy Kreme at all, but I knew it was I wouldn't be opposed. It is trending right now, so I wanted to talk about it. They got like their biggest rewards program. It's like free donuts and everything. And the spirit of like all of that and free stuff, giving value first. What are the things that you've pulled from big businesses that you've used in real estate?
I mean, I think in real estate sales, I mean it's so. I mean, you see it everywhere around you, like Krispy Kreme and literally any business. Get them in the door, like. Make it as easy for them to get in the door and say yes the first time around to then when they experience your product, your service, your personality, your credibility, then it's just an easy yes after that. So like making that initial consultation, communication, personally reaching out to them, making a call, whatever it is, making that as easy as possible for them, as less intimidating as possible for them, is so important. And it's not even like it's not like here's your free stuff, now I gotcha. You're like it's like a trick, but making the barrier so low and like inviting people in, I think is really important to any sale, because then people get to experience what you provide. So a lot of agents do that by offering. They'll either offer to like other realtors a listing course, and then they then get those realtors in their database, and then can refer deals around and whatever it is, or providing like free. I mean, obviously I do free consultations or like free training or webinar on like first-time home buyers, free value. You are that source of credibility. Every time somebody thinks about like, okay, I'm supposed to do this first. Oh, Lydia told me to do that. So it's just an automatic. I'm gonna call her.
So it's like you're putting your foot in the door in a not aggressive way. It's just like, hey, you make a decision based on your experience.
Yeah.
With me before you even do anything.
Yeah.
That's fine. And I think that definitely is a big lesson that we can take from these bigger companies. The other thing is, so for the people that are out there that have listened to this podcast, they're like, all right, cool. I'm in this spot where I want to try this. I want to get into sales. I want to figure it out. There's a lot of different types. You're obviously in a very like high ticket environment. I'm in a low ticket environment, which is more volume than it is, waiting a while for a deal to finally go in.
Yeah.
Do you think on both sides it's fine, or do you think, obviously you're doing high ticket. What do you think a person? What would with their personality? What type of personality traits do you think are in different sales environments?
I mean, I think it's the gratification. Like, are you willing to wait 3 months to a year to get paid? Especially in commercial. I mean, some deals you're not going to see it close for a couple of years. I mean, these are business transactions. These are huge amounts of money. And residential, someone's probably most expensive asset they're going to buy. And so there is literally no way that you can rush it. It's not your place to rush it. You're obviously there to advise and like what I would do if I was in your position and guide, but you cannot, I got my license and didn't get paid for 3 months to like close my first deal. And so a lot of people aren't willing to do that. But again, there's something to be said for the low ticket, you have a quicker gratification. I don't know. I'd say there's not like a right or wrong. Yeah. Like they're so different. They're like black and white. I'm interested to hear what you think about that. Like, would you think it's just the delayed gratification versus the quicker gratification, or like a personality thing?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely nice to close multiple people in a day.
Yeah.
Versus having one person and then it's a long drawn out process. I think for people that are looking into getting started, the best way to start, in my opinion, is low ticket. Just because, like you said, I mean, it goes to show that you were able to do it. Obviously, you were able to do it. But to make it easier for somebody just getting started, I would say low ticket up to high, because you don't have a lot of capital to lean back on. I don't know how much capital you had to lean back on when you were getting
Honestly,
started.
I would agree with that, because you have a quicker turnaround of how many times you're practicing sales, literally, like from start to finish. Mm-hmm. You have a quicker turnaround, whereas like it might take a few months to get your first client, and then the sales skills are learned throughout like a 3-month to 1 year period. So I would say I would actually kind of agree with that, but it depends on what you want to do long term. Like if you want to do huge ticket long term, then I'm also an advocate for like not skipping around and literally just going for directly what you want to do long term. Don't waste time. But I think for learning sales, that would be super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially if you don't have a lot of capital, because you don't want to be sitting there on you're gonna get paid $10,000 or $30,000 for one deal, and you're like, well, I'm on my last $5,000.
Yeah.
Like, I need this to go through, or I'm done,
Right.
Versus like, okay, cool, I made, $1,000 today, or I made $1,000 in the last 2 weeks, then I slowly build up to now I'm making 20, 30, where you're slowly getting there. And then you have the more repetition for it too. Mm-hmm. And then you can come sit in there and be like, because sales is pretty much, it's not all the same. You have all different ways. It's like almost like code. It's all, or languages, right? Like it's different languages, but at the same time, we're all saying the same feelings.
A lot of sales skills translate, depending on whatever industry it is.
The assumptive close.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of you have to assume every time.
Yeah.
Like it's probably not as great in relationships, but
the negative.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably not as good as in relationships, because you shouldn't assume when you're with like other people, but with sales for sure, like just assuming, hey, this is gonna go in, this is how it is.
Yeah.
You're gonna do this, like it's fine.
I know what's best for you.
I know what's best for you. Yeah. I think that mindset of being in the spot where it's like I'm coming in with you, like there's your demons over there. Oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to qualify. Oh, I'm going to, this house might be too expensive for me. It's not on my budget. And then moving in there with them and being like a teammate, mm-hmm. instead of going after commission and kind of trying to fight with them.
Yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, you're literally never going to close anything like that. So.
Yeah. What do you think what do you think the number one mistake real estate agents make when they're first getting started, when they're first getting started?
Number one mistake people make. I think there's a lot of, and again, we've talked about this before, shiny object syndrome. There's literally so many ways you can sell. There's so many ways you can lead generate, and there's not a right or wrong way to do it. Sure, try them all out and then see what sticks, but also don't try to be doing like 5 things at once, because something's never gonna stick when you're trying to do 5 lead generating activities a day. Stick to 1 to 3, do them really, really well every single day, for a few hours, and I think anything will work that way. If it doesn't matter if you're door knocking as an agent, if you're sending mailers to hundreds of people a day as an agent, if you're posting sometimes on social media, if you're making calls for hours, like all these things work. They're all tried and true. Hosting open houses every single day, they all work, but how many times are you doing them? Because it's not going to work to skip around. So I think that's a super easy trap to fall into, and I did that as well. So that's the advice that I give to literally anybody coming into real estate.
Just don't have signing houses and get good at one thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of like been the theme where it's like putting all your skill points in one area, because then you're the expert instead of so it's better to be a master of one than a jack of all trades, do you think?
I hear both sides every day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I agree with both sides, so I don't even know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's like it's all different.
But that's why we love entrepreneurship, because there's always things to learn.
Yeah.
And you're, constantly growing and learning, whether that's in marketing or sales or accounting or all of it.
What do you think your biggest lead generation has been from?
My biggest lead generation has been marketing. So right now it's social media, cold calling, and mailers. Kind of dialing back on the mailers because I would just rather make calls for more hours and post, but especially now, social media is so huge for credibility. I've literally beaten out another agent because I said that the agent hadn't posted in 2 months. Some people post a few times a year. So, these are just simple things that set you apart. The first time you meet someone, you're going to look them up on social media and then automatically, whether you're trying to or not, make an assumption on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
What has helped you stand out? I know you've grown a pretty decent following on Facebook. What has helped you stand out and grow that audience?
I think it's literally just been consistency. It is not, yes, produce, don't just mass produce just to mass produce. Make it good content and, personal. But, I can't tell you how many times I've been told, oh, I see your face all over Facebook, and I'm I don't know who you are. I'm sorry, but it works, and I'm not doing anything special, and people just want to see your face everywhere.
Right.
The algorithm picks it up no matter what. So I am nowhere. I am not by far anywhere the #1 agent in Knoxville, but people type in top Knoxville realtor, and I'll be at the top because. I've been told that because my face is just all over it. It works.
Nice. What's a quick tip that you could give somebody on if they're, I don't know, if it's the lighting, if it's the editing, what's a quick tip that you could give them for video on social media?
I do think video works the best. Reels is really what's engaging right now. A tip? I don't know. I think fun music is
fun music.
Fun, trending music, I guess.
Yeah.
Or really just, literally posting every day. That's all I do. It doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the videos that you'll post on your story. You'll just talk about what you're.
Yeah, literally just talk about what you're doing. People want to, again, like I said, people don't hire Wallace Real Estate. They hire Lydia Capps. Yeah. They want to be able to see you and get warmed up to you on media, especially if it's just if it's not a family friend coming to you. They want to expect that personality when they meet you and can get a feel for how you sell and how aggressive you are over social media when it comes to representing them. They translate these things. So literally just being real about what you're doing, how you're serving your clients. That's interesting to people. People are nosy. They want to know what you're doing in your day to day. So yeah.
So shifting over a little bit and then. Not really on the same sort of path, people seeing you and then your image and Facebook and in your family circles. We talked about being a woman in real estate. That's even more of a lonely path, I feel maybe. Just because it's even in business in general, because it could be a male-dominated industry. How other women treated you since you got into real estate?
So, actually residential is a majority women. However, commercial, which is my long term, is less than 1% women. But I think regardless whether it's residential or commercial, especially as a young entrepreneur, and my broker told me this coming into it too, which again, this might be something you take with a grain of salt, but like as a woman, you have to earn your spot at the table to like be heard. Like, but I think it also comes back to like results produce confidence. Like if you have done it a million times and you have proven success and you know what you're talking about, it doesn't matter what your gender is or how old you are or whatever. Like you can be young in this industry and have far more results than someone that's been doing it for 40 years. But I think like woman to woman, I think it's really empowering because we all have a similar personality that's maybe not common for women. You know, because it's a very like take charge, go getter, like make something of yourself by yourself industry, and I don't think that's very common. With older women, for sure. I don't know about younger women. I mean, that kind of goes back to the loneliness with being young in the industry, but like I wouldn't have I wouldn't have it any other way. So.
Yeah, and I know we like I don't know if you want to get into this, but with the dating aspect of being like just men want to be usually down. Or they're at the. I don't know if you want to talk about this. Let me know.
Sure, why not?
Okay. So, like, because, I mean, the majority of what we see content on YouTube and Instagram, all that stuff, where they say, like, yeah, usually a woman wants a man to take charge within the relationship, and I can definitely see an issue there with you where it's like I've already I've already achieved so much. I'm already at this spot where like I'm getting a lot. So like I feel like the caliber of man that you would go after would be like, I don't know. What would you?
No, we can keep going.
Yeah. What has been your experience with that?
I mean, it definitely narrows your dating pool, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, when you have an online presence or just like in general, like it doesn't have to be huge, like you attract the certain people that are seeking that. Yeah. So like, I mean, if people are intimidated by that or don't want a woman that's in business or posting on social media a lot of the time, I don't know. I hear guys for some reason say a lot of time, like, if your girl's posting on Instagram every day or like stories, like run or something. I'm like, whatever. I'm doing what I'm doing. But if you're intimidated by that or like don't want a girl that's wanting to make a large scale and lots of money and just not even about the money, just like wants to build a platform, then I mean, whatever, you do.
Yeah, like kind of attracting into your own circle.
Yeah.
I think maybe social media even gives us the ability to do that.
That's to deter people that wouldn't be attracted to that without even like having to waste time.
Yeah, that's true. And even with going back to like being an extreme generation, like we have those extremities. We're so like niched down.
Yeah.
Like everything's just so niched down. There's not really that general like, hey, 40, 50 years ago where it's like this is the exact same, like everybody's pretty much the exact same. And they're not really niched down. There's like two industries. There's coal or go to war. Like there's not really any different. And this time it's like
coal sales.
Yeah, it's just everything is like all different and all niched down, and it's like because you probably attract a lot of real estate agents. You're not really like, my world is a little bit different because I'm attracting more like door-to-door direct salespeople.
It is an interesting balance though, because I feel like two people in business that are entrepreneurs especially, that are just like working their tail off and want a lot, I feel like it would be easy to butt heads. Like when like in a relationship, I guess. I just think it comes down to, again, like making time for what you care about. I mean, like I have no problem making time for literally anything. So I don't know.
It's your priorities.
Yeah.
And we both talked about like even dating being pushed off and planning it for later. Being like, well, right now I'm doing what I need to do, and then I'm pushing that off. While that's another difference that we have, because it's like with other people, like college is a spot where you're like looking for getting married, and you're married at 22, 23.
Yeah, people go to they call it like getting your MRS degree.
Your MRS degree?
Like your Mrs. degree. Like people go to college just to find their husband.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard that before because I'm not on that side. But
yeah.
Like, yeah, that's interesting. So like, yeah, it'd be even another place where it'd be less common, and not as common. So, but yeah, I mean, I definitely could see how a lot of people would be intimidated and be like, all right, well, but you don't even have to worry about that because you have your own circle.
Yeah,
Your marketing hits right.
Yeah, like what you see on social media is what you get. Like that's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay. So you think authenticity is key in the social media as well?
I mean, I feel like you can understand a lot about somebody by what they post every day. So.
Well, is there any other things that you got for everybody out there? Like any tips or tricks or hacks? Any interesting customer interactions like we talked about last time? Any stories you got?
I mean, there's always stories about people yelling at you on the phone.
Yeah.
But I mean, that just always comes back to like, just keep it rolling. Like, don't think about one thing for like too long. Like, don't make it personal. Don't make it emotional. When it comes to business and money, like it can be easy to do that, but I think that's the downfall of a lot of people is when they make business emotional when it doesn't have to be. So.
Yeah, business is business.
Yeah.
So what is your most interesting customer from a cold call?
From a cold call?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the most interesting ones, it's either the yapper or the just pissy person.
What's the worst thing you've been
thinks I've
called?
called them like 45 times and I've never called them before. But I mean, it's something like anything. Well, oh no, I will say I did get a yapper the other day, and you know, typically it's the older people that maybe they don't have as many people to talk to. Is this mic good?
Yeah.
Okay. He was just going on and on about I don't even know where we got this topic, but he had a property out in Crossville, like 80 acres, bunch of land, didn't really have to move, but was looking to get a little bit of a bigger property and like the house that they want to, their forever house, like retire in. And he just got on a tangent about his son, his best friend, like catching his. Did your phone die?
Yeah, my phone died.
His best friend, like he caught his best friend cheating, like, and so they ended up getting into. But he went on this whole tangent about like he was like, I would have shot her right then and there in the bushes, and like probably said I would have killed him on the spot like 5 times over the course of our conversation. I like didn't know whether to laugh or like be concerned. I'm like, I don't think I should meet up with this person. But you'll definitely get some crazies that just want to talk and are a little bit off the rails. And also people that are just like, hey, I'm coming in, I'm gonna call the cops on you. And it's just like, okay, whatever.
What about when you've met up with people, and have you had any like people ask some interesting things when you're like showing the house?
I mean, I try to do my due diligence and background check, but even people with a clean record like will be weird. And I just think that like the more you put yourself out there on media, the more people are gonna comment on it or have opinions about it or be following what you're doing. So it's very common for women to just have weirdos all over media. But just don't be dumb. Like, I've had several times where I have brought a male agent with me or just a male and like my assistant's going to be here if I felt uncomfortable. But people say a lot of things over media that they won't say in real life. But, I think it's just being smart and be aware.
Yeah.
because yeah, especially if you're like in a more rural area or a really rundown property, like people will come across squatters all the time or just crazies. So
You haven't though?
I haven't yet. I mean, I have walked into properties like expecting. I'm like, there's got to be a squatter in here, but we were good. Not yet, but I see it all the time. People in my firm group chat like all the time. Like, I'm so glad I had someone with me. There was like this guy and his girlfriend just like living in his house and like had to like pull a gun on them. So
yeah, just like that guy on the phone.
Yeah.
Dang, yeah. That's the cool thing about sales is that you get a lot of those interesting interactions. I saw an ad earlier today, and it was like everyone's saying sales is boring, or they're like sales is boring, and then they like were like, no, it's not. I'm like, who has ever said sales is boring?
I've never heard that.
Nobody said that. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like what product you would have to be selling for it to be boring.
Insurance. For sure. Oh, no, not even insurance, because you're going to people's houses the same way. Life insurance for sure. Like you're going to like some really crazy houses.
I don't know. I follow some really cool life insurance people.
Yeah.
That would be fun, but I don't know.
Why'd you choose luxury real estate?
From day one, I said if I'm gonna spend my time calling a average price point of $350,000 neighborhood, why would I not be calling a $1 million price point neighborhood? Like, I have the credibility and the backing and the product to facilitate either, so why would I not serve at a higher level?
That makes sense. Why real estate in general?
Real estate in general. I just love, I literally love everything about it. The whole client interaction, especially, I think first-time home buyers are the most rewarding because that is just such a, there's a big disconnect of how to go about buying real estate, especially from a first-time home buyer or an investment standpoint. There's a bunch of misinformation and, thinking that you need a lot of capital or it's going to take a lot of time or whatever it is. So, watching someone go from a no to a yes, and transforming the way they think about it, and how you can seriously build wealth with the rest of 90% of millionaires in real estate, that's just super powerful. So, and I love it. It's different every single day, from marketing to cold calling to, I just love to sell and be around people all day, every day. So, and just the scale, again, no one's telling you what to do, how to do it. The scale, with my long-term vision, it's really awesome. So.
Yeah, and like we were talking earlier, do you think college has been because you built a pretty diverse network when it comes to business, real estate, everything like
Mm-hmm.
that. You not only have that, older generation and people that are leaders in the industry where you're in, but you also have some people in college that are still in that same group. What would you suggest to somebody when they're looking to network in college? What table should they sit at? What club should they join? Everything like that.
Network in college. If you're wanting to get into real estate sales directly, don't go to college. I had somebody sit beside me in one of my business law classes I took, and he was like, "I'm gonna be in real estate." I'm like, "What are you doing here?" Because there's a lot of, like Leslie was saying as well, there's a lot of people that kind of just mope their way around college and don't really know what they want, or just taking a bunch of general things. But if you have a clear direction, there's really intentional ways you can meet people. There's a lot of really cool professors and people on the dean's board that went to Harvard, just have a lot of really good and wise information to pour into you. But I don't know, college is a weird thing, because it's like we talked about, I'm not a go-getter advocate for college by any means, but I'm also not college is a scam, don't go. So yeah.
What would you tell yourself 2 years ago when you were 18?
2 years ago when I was 18, oh my gosh, I was a completely different person. I would say, I mean, do what's in front of you really well. Like, there's a lot of things to get caught up with when you're young, and things that you're thinking about doing, and just like not a lot of action is being taken, but like whatever you have right in front of you is what you need to be focusing on and doing really well, and there will be fruits from that, and it's a snowball effect of like applying yourself to whatever you're doing. It's a natural byproduct to meet really intentional and successful people when you're doing what you're doing well.
So you'd be like, hey, there's gonna be
like
coming.
You need to
keep pushing the rock up.
You need to tighten up and do what you're doing well.
You need to tighten up.
Stop
Okay.
messing around.
Okay. Tighten up. Get it going.
Yeah, I mean, starting at 19, like I wish I had started at 16, 17. Like, you can't go back, but I would have, if I knew what I knew now, I would have started as soon as I could.
Do you really think starting 15, 16 is good? Missing out on a childhood?
I mean, 15, 16 isn't childhood, but
I feel like that's still almost.
I mean, I literally don't regret anything, because I did experience a lot, and I was lucky to see a lot of things I did firsthand and be in healthcare and whatever first. But I mean, I don't know. You always wish you could have done something differently. I don't know. I mean, what
about all those kids that are online that are like hustle mentality? Like, I'm 12 years old, I'm hustling it out here. I'm trying to hustle. Okay. Like, I'm trying to get my money up, not my friends. I gotta cut all my friends off because they're just not helping me.
Yeah, like, where does that even come from? I do not wish that on myself. I would not be doing that when I was 12 years old, but
okay.
Maybe starting like a year or two earlier.
Okay.
But I mean, even now, where we're at, like, most people don't have this clarity and start until their 30s. So.
Yeah.
That's all I got for me.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the amount of exponential growth that you see in the list. And I feel like even sometimes when you're younger, you have more energy to pull from. So I feel like you'll make a lot if you just apply yourself. And I feel like the people around us, everybody wants to support the person that's like just getting started. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's why a lot of people jump from thing to thing, because they're like, they get all that external validation of like, yeah, you got the new thing, like you're getting it going, like keep doing you, and then like when you get more wins, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm proud of you, you're doing a good job, or I'm proud of her, she's doing a good job, but whatever, Have you gotten any hate from any of your close family members or anybody close to you?
Not hate, but not. It's not like an extreme in either direction, but it's definitely not like a huge. I mean, I don't know. That's an interesting question, but I think. Yeah, it's definitely easy to support in the beginning, and then when you get deeper into business and like it gets real really fast, it's definitely harder for people to support you when you're doing things that maybe they wish they would have done, or know that they don't have the kind of focus and amount of hours put in that you do. So I don't know. People don't really want to see other people win as much as they would say they do.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, it's hard. It's rare to find friends that want to see you win. I think genuinely.
Well, I know we said we'd wrap up a while
like
ago,
30 minutes ago.
But yeah, is there? I'll say it one more time, and then what are some final thoughts? Like final everything. What do you? I'm not trying to rush you off or anything.
No. My favorite thing that I tell myself all the time, and that I tell new people coming in and young people and literally anybody in business, is don't take no for an answer, because again, there's not a wrong or right way to do it. It's really easy to feel like you can be told what to do. Just like stand your ground and like learn it for yourself. So don't take no.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Don't take no at all. Keep going. All right, cool. It's all good.
Good?
No.
Yay! That was good, guys.
Okay. Awesome.
We need to get Joe in here.
That one was like.
We need